My own experience, I had the benefit of, at this point, also uh, living with people who had been in bigger struggles. You remember, Nigeria used to welcome people from the southern African states.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that even in high school, I was coordinator for my school of the SARF, South Africa Relief Fund. And I think the Senate leader, Senator Saraki, the father of Bukola Abubakar Saraki, yeah, was the national. But in schools, we had this little student formations, mobilizing and doing exciting things. So at that point, I got acquainted with, much later in life, with the excitement of what I'd known a bit about the South African frontline states, Southern African region. I met Pa Chope, the representative who will be today. There was no independence then, so there couldn't be an ambassador. So he was in the interest section, but he was the country rep on behalf of the African National Congress. So I started living with him after I left straight from the Defense Academy. So, and then I stayed with him, and then he, I won't ever forget this day. Um, we were watching TV, and the Nigerian government had done something really, in my opinion, really sad. They needed to form a quorum at the OAU, and they needed maybe just one vote. And Nigeria said, when there's a quorum, then they will join. And that there was no quorum. But they were saying there was no quorum by abstaining, you know. But for some reasons, they didn't want to encourage Gaddafi. Was he trying to be chairman then or not? I don't remember. But he became chairman later. I remember that. Anyway, so Nigeria couldn't. So Gaddafi came on air and blasted Nigeria, the Gaddafi. And I was excited that, yes, this was a radical move. And I noticed that I was the only one doing that in the room. I was kind of disappointed. What kind of South Africans were these? I mean, Nigeria wouldn't go. Is it that you want OAU to fail? Because this was the same OAU from high school that took such stance against apartheid, and the great, speeches of Murtala Muhammad, Obasanjo and co on, all of the Joe Gaba, and so they said, no, a statesman shouldn't speak that way.
A statesman shouldn't speak.
Yeah, the way Gaddafi had spoken. I was like, why wouldn't that be? And they said, the way he had spoken, he didn't disaggregate Nigerians from their leader or their leaders. They lumped everything, so it could also evoke anger from the average Nigerian. And even for their leaders, since it's a long drawn struggle, they could be under other influences. I think from the West, as we later got to know, that it could be a lot softer. It could be more diplomatic. It could be. So I knew that all of the radical texts I had read from high school, George Jack, Stokely Carmichael, Angela Davis, Malcolm X, I had to take it easy. Yeah, so I started knowing what realpolitik was, these old Asian people. I mean, sometimes the likes of Oliver Tambo will come in. The father of Mbeki.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them came in and out of that same house,
You met them?
Oh, of course, yes. That was secretariat, don't forget. I met all of these people then and all that. They'll come. Of course, I wouldn't be part of their meetings, but I'll always be around doing one thing or the other. Papa took me under his wing, the late Papa Chope,
So what was happening to your mind while you were encountering these figures?
As a young person, you're excited on the prospects that they had not given up. It's such, can you imagine what it was? You had learned this thing from history. You had read some, elsewhere about, the Declaration of the Rights of Man from the 19th century. You read about Garibaldi. You read about Bismarck. These are high school and HSC stuff. And then the independence of the United States, the 1917 revolution in Russia, I mean, all pointing, and the attack of the Bastille, 1789 in France, declaring the Republic. I mean, and then suddenly, I mean, they say because of your skin. And the trauma that a black boy goes through, with that kind of conscience is terrible. Because it was after high school, I had to start going from one West African country to the other, just in order to be sure that the black man did anything of value.
But was that a trend at that time? Or it was just Olorunyomi
No,
and his mind?
no. I mean, people paid attention to different things, but I had a supporting family in that direction. I mean, family, friends, etc., etc. No, it wasn't just mine.
So at that point, would you describe yourself as a radical?
I think I was just I just was not happy. I just wasn't too happy because the idea that black people were inferior, I was just happy with that.